Hello, clever people, and welcome to my review for They Shall Not Grow Old. So They Shall Not Grow Old is a documentary about World War I, considering that November 11th, 2018 was 100 years since World War I was finished. Peter Jackson thought that he should come out with a movie about World War I, and this one kind of follows footage from World War I that Peter Jackson took and digitally restored to make it look as great as possible. He also colorized a lot of the footage to try to make it look really, really good and try to make it look as realistic to modern day movies as possible while still giving it kind of an old feeling. And it's kind of it's a very original movie. No one's really ever done something like this before. Like, colorization has existed before. They do create colorized versions of old black and white movies, and it's starting to become more and more popular, but no one has ever gone this far back to the 1910s and took in World War I footage and tried to make it look brand new. And it's kind of like a big deal. It's kind of it's one of the movies that you will see kind of go down in history as one of the big films to remember. I think that this is a movie documentaries about film 30 years from now will be talking about, because I think that this will kind of spark a revolution to colorize and digitalize more older footage to try to make it look really good today. And I believe that new technologies will be spawned to just exactly for that intention. And I think soon enough we might get a lot of old footage look crystal clear and just like new movies today. Now, with a movie that has that big of a deal going on with it, with that big of an influence, you gotta question where did that movie come from? Where is the idea for that movie? And how does a movie deal with being so monumental? And They Shall Not Grow Old deals with its monumentalness in a really nice, endearing way. I gotta say, this is one of the best movies I have seen this year. It is extremely original, it is extremely memorable, and the filmmaking devices that Peter Jackson used to show us how World War I was. I watched a little bit of documentary afterwards. It was a 30-minute documentary or so, and what Peter Jackson said in that documentary was, I created this movie as a non-historian for non-historians. What he just wanted to do was show what it was like to experience being in the trenches, to experience going through such a traumatic event. And I think that that was really great, because a lot of movies about World War I, or a lot of documentaries, focus on the big events, focus on what happened, but rarely do you get something that truly sympathizes you with the boys who were there and gives you a feeling of what it was like. And some of the filmmaking devices that he uses are so ingenious. Like, one of them, to show death, he didn't have actual footage of a lot of the hand-to-hand fight or a lot of the gun fighting up close, so because that's just too dangerous for the cameraman. So instead, he decided to take shots from earlier in the movie of characters that we've already seen and then show dead corpse and kind of show this is supposed to be the corpse of that person even though it really isn't. And that was ingenious. That was so smart, because it makes you feel like you're seeing an old friend, and then right after that he dies. And that's one of the things that Peter Jackson brought up during the documentary, but there are so many other things that he does. And honestly, seeing the documentary afterwards made me appreciate the movie so much more, because you realize the amount of work that he put into this movie. Peter Jackson colorizing everything, making it digital, trying to make the frame rate correct, because the frame rates would range from 13 frames a second to 19 frames a second, and he had to figure out exactly what frame rate each one was. And it's really impressive how well this movie worked out. He had to sift through 600 hours of sound footage. He had to sift through 100 hours of actual camera footage. And honestly, for doing that and for creating such an historical achievement, I think that he deserves to have the Best Director Oscar this year. And he won't, not only because, one, he's not eligible, but two, even if he was eligible, he wouldn't even be in the running. But he absolutely deserves it, because the work that he did on this movie is astounding, and it shows. And what I just really loved about this movie is how close you got with these guys that you only saw for 5 seconds, or you only heard their voice for 20 seconds, but you got close, and it really did deepen your understanding of World War I, not about the historical events, not about what happened, but just about what it was like, the insane conditions that the people were put under, and just how much it has changed today. And that is the biggest thing to take away from this movie, is how much war has changed in 100 years and how much society has changed. And after the movie, after the last frame leaves, your breath will be taken away. I think in terms of criticisms, my biggest criticism was that it's a documentary, and usually with documentaries, I like it when they switch around to different stylistic things. They can show interviews and show footage, but oftentimes they'll switch around and do a bunch of different things. But with this movie, it's really just one type of style the whole time. It's showing the footage and it's interviews overhead. And because of that, it kind of lost me at times. But for the most part, my focus was on this movie. I think that was just an issue because it did felt a bit repetitive. But that's my only issue with They Shall Not Grow Old. I think that this is a powerful movie. I think it's a memorable movie. I will give They Shall Not Grow Old an 8.5 out of 10. Alright, that concludes my review for They Shall Not Grow Old. So, what are your thoughts on this movie, or what is your favorite World War I movie? Comment in the comment section below and let me know. I'm Robert Burke, and this has been The Clever Critics. Goodbye.